The following is a presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
You know, we have Tom from Tampa on the phone. Hey, Tom. Good morning. It's bright and early now, huh?
Hey, Paige. Good. How you guys doing, Nico?
Doing great.
Good. Hey, your newsletter's outstanding, man. I'm telling you, man, it is outstanding. And so is the Primal Edge. I love that stuff. I'd never be without it. I mean, I've been on it now 3-4 months, man. I mean, it's just, I can't get over how good I feel.
Primal Edge is, people are raving about it. People who are trying it, they know because you can feel it.
Would not be without it.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico and Haan and Paige Clarke.
Well, good morning. I am Paige Clarke. Welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we explore a return to a more natural, balanced, wild world.
To recover our natural health and regain our rights and freedoms. And I'm Nico and Haan.
And it's a beautiful day, 70 degrees in Clearwater, Florida. Hope it's really nice and sunny and beautiful where you are. Please take time to subscribe to the show's Health Signal newsletter. Great news you can use to stay healthy and live in a primal lifestyle. You got a relatively new edition out last week?
Yep.
Or earlier this week?
Yeah, Tuesday. I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. $10 a month gets you 2 issues a month. So on the first and third Friday, I'm still saying Friday, but
Yeah.
it's Tuesday of every month.
Yeah, and you can also pick up some of our Primal Edge daily nutrition. The Primal Edge you can get from the store, and you can use your Tiger Dollars, too.
Yeah, we just had a big sale of Tiger Dollars, so I'm
Hope
sure
you took
everybody's got
advantage
them.
of that.
That's for sure. Number here is 877-927-6648. Of course, you can reach us by email at Nico or Paige at TFNN.com. So
Very good, very
What's
good.
going on, Paige?
Well, I kind of want to get to the heart of the matter. Talk about the heart a little bit.
Okay.
I really think that everyone knows that heart disease is probably one of the serious afflictions we have in this country.
I think it's number 1 or 2.
And, we actually have an epidemic of heart disease. And many of the conventional treatments, such as using statin drugs and surgeries, such as arterial bypasses, they just don't work well. Mm-hmm. So what's going on?
And boy, there are a lot of people having those surgeries.
They sure are.
Yeah.
But I think there's some very compelling information, and I always believe that something's worth focusing on when it kind of comes at me from different directions.
Yeah,
and when I was out at the Weston A. Price Foundation meeting back in November, I had the thrill and the pleasure to hear Dr. Thomas Cowan speak. Mm-hmm. And he has a wonderful book called Human Heart, Cosmic Heart, a doctor's quest to understand, treat, and prevent cardiovascular disease. His talk was fascinating, and it resonated so true with me. I bought his book, I devoured his book, and I'm hoping that I'm actually going to do some mentoring and studying with him. Also visit Dr. Cowan's garden. He has a beautiful home and farm in Napa Valley and produces these very potent vegetables. He has another great book about why we need to eat a variety of vegetables. It kind of goes back to what you and I have said about for the phytochemical diversity. Right. And we'll get into that more later. But let's stick to the heart of the matter right now. Dr. Thomas Cowan is a family physician and a founding member of the Weston A. Price Foundation. I don't know if you knew that. He really has written a number of books with Sally Fallon, and their work is just tremendous. And he's answered this question of how do we treat heart disease. His book is fascinating, and I really, again, suggest you get it. And it's not overly technical, and it's a short read, really. It's really concise and to the point.
Yeah.
And it makes an excellent addition to any layman's health library, as Dr. McCullough says. It basically has 3 parts, Nico.
Yeah, the first part is his personal story, and the second part, he examines the theory that the heart is a pump, and he says that the heart is not a pump.
Wow, guys.
Yeah, and I've always thought of it as a pump. I mean, that's the natural thing.
Well, that's what they're taught in medical school as well. And, I've invited you a number of times to come hear the presentation on the medical device from Germany, and that's the whole premise of what that is.
Okay.
The latest, other countries have done the research, and we know that the heart is not the pump. It defies the laws of physics. The heart could not pump the volume of blood through the vessels. As we know, only 14% of our vessels are the regular arteries and veins. the other 75% and roughly 75,000 miles of circulatory system are the small capillaries.
Well, that's like an interstate system for our bodies.
You got it.
Yeah.
And so in reality, the main roads and the macrocosm, the main roads are all the little country roads and little tributaries we have all over. The interstates are just the arteries and veins.
Yeah.
They're not the ones that are really moving the traffic. The traffic is all the small area. The capillaries and the small vessels, the microcirculation is where the majority of the exchange is happening. That's the majority of your vessels. And if the heart was a pump, the law of physics would tell you that your heart would have to be the size of a tractor trailer. Doesn't work. So what is it? Well, Dr. Cowan explained it eloquently. The researchers at the the Microcirculation Institute in Germany explained it eloquently. Nobel Prize winners explain it eloquently. It is the vascular emotion that's done at these tiny microcirculation levels that are actually responsible for pumping the blood, so keeping the endothelial function of our smallest of vessels.
So the vessels are actually the thing that drives
I'm
the
looking
blood.
at your hair right now.
Okay.
Our tiny little micro vessels are skinnier than that little tiny piece of hair. Is that amazing?
Yeah, yeah.
And then we have to have the red blood cells that go through them. So
it's like an electrical system more than anything then.
the electrical conductivity is very important.
Well, that's what nerves are driven by. It's an electric spark through your body.
Well, you mentioned the word nerves. We're talking about the micro vessels here.
Yeah, but they're all conducted by nerves. I mean.
Well, what we're saying is it's the electrical system of the earth really has an impact, and the fields.
Wow.
This is why EMFs are so dangerous to us. They disrupt the natural field of electricity that we get when we ground with the earth, when we connect. So getting back to just kind of staying on task here, let's visualize this. The majority of the blood in your body is moved by your microcirculation. You have over 75,000 miles. I think that's 3 trips around the world. 75,000 miles of microvessels. And so therefore, this is where we have to make sure the function is happening. And this is
Very
where
interesting.
where the dysfunction is happening. So what he says is the heart is not a pump. And the laws of physics support this premise. This is disruptive technology. This is disruptive knowledge that that is not all the duty of the heart to get the blood to all the spots.
So just to try to make it clearer in my mind, if it's not a pump, it's kind of a pump, but it's not. It's externally driven in a sense, what you're saying.
Well, no, it's actually internally driven. Inside the tiny walls of that tiny vessel that's the size of your hair, there is endothelial function. You know, the lining of that tiniest vessel, and guess what it is?
What?
Easy water, structured water.
Structured water. That's why I feel so good on structured water.
That is right. And he explains the whole premise of Dr. Gerald Pollack's work.
Okay.
And that it is really the lining has to have that same charge that is produced. And it's just fascinating. We're going to go to a break here, but what we're going to say is when he explains why the blood moves and what the heart is doing, there are interesting ramifications, and we're going to come back to that. The heart is not a pump. Let's find out how we make sure that you keep your heart healthy.
I want to know what it is, too. If it's not a pump, I want to know what it is.
We're going to get right back.
All right, good. Okay, we'll be right back, folks. You stick around. The number here is 877-927-6648. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Are China A-shares hot or not? If you trade China A-shares, now may be time to take a closer look. Trade CHAU or CHAD, Directions Daily CSI 300 China A-share Bull and Bear ETFs. China A-shares in either direction. Visit directioninvestments.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Nico and Paige take your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
And welcome back. So the question is the heart a pump or not? And we're kind of discovering maybe that's not the major factor, the major pump of what's moving it. All these little capillaries that we have.
Well, right. It's not the major. It has an important function.
Right.
However, it's not the majority. It's not the organ that's doing the majority of the blood movement.
Right.
It's not the organ that's majorly responsible for your circulation. The circulation is primarily being controlled by something that's happening at the vessel location. But I want to follow this article so I don't miss any points.
Sure.
But so we're going to kind of cover overview Dr. Cowan's work as his discussion with Dr. Mercola, and you know he had some heart issues. This is what got him thinking about it, and he learned in medical school that there were 4 major coronary arteries, and in some places it says 3, in some places it says 2. But what really causes it? Even the basics of how many coronary arteries we have is actually in dispute, and it's really a matter of semantics. So what I thought was interesting is here is Dr. Cowan in the U.S. doing this, and yet physicists all over the world are studying the fact that it's just, from the law of physics, not capable, that the heart is responsible for all of the pumping. So let's dive down a little bit. What is the role of arterial plaque in heart disease, right?
Right.
So regardless of the exact number, conventional wisdom states that the coronary arteries, the major blood vessels, supply all of the blood flow to and from the heart.
And therefore, you think if it gets blocked, then you're going to die, so we better get rid of that blockage. And
so if one or more of them gets blocked with plaque, a bottleneck forms, and this will prevent the blood from getting through.
So what I hear you saying is there's a lot more blockage going on elsewhere, probably, because those capillaries are smaller.
Well, you would think if you're clogging in the big ones, and you're probably clogging in the little ones, but let's go on about the intelligence of the circulatory system. The area downstream from that blockage doesn't get any blood, right? You know, and hence no oxygen or nutrients. And the first indication of this that occurs is pain, which we'll call angina. And the problem progresses, the pain worsens, which is called unstable angina. And eventually, if left untreated, you end up with a heart attack. So the field of cardiology is primarily focused on getting rid of the plaque, whether by using stents, opening it up, a bypass, doing bypasses, angioplasties, and lowering cholesterol, since supposedly this is caused by excess cholesterol, or they put the patient on a low-fat diet. This is traditional wisdom, you know?
Yeah.
So conventionally, it's always been about the plaque. But Cowan's point is in the book that it's not about the plaque. So let's go on. The problem with viewing the heart as a pump. Cardiologists and doctors are generally taught that the walls of the heart create pressure, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Which causes propulsion of the blood through the body. And in essence, the heart is viewed as a pump, a pressure propulsion system. Right? However, your body actually contains an enormous amount of blood vessels, as I mentioned. Mm-hmm. Most of these blood vessels in your heart and your body are capillaries. In fact, 75%, roughly 75,000 miles, are the capillaries or the small vessels.
And I can just see them
and
opening
they're very,
and
very thin
mm-hmm.
and very narrow, the size of one of your little hairs, and so cute, they're sticking up. So I like to use it.
Well, the thing that amazes me too, of course, we know that thousands and thousands of small things add up to big things.
Right, exactly. And if you stood, right, well, 75% of the circulation, I mean, that's amazing, you know. So if you were to spread them out, as I mentioned, they would cover 3 football fields. And if you were to place the blood vessels end on end, they would encircle the earth between 1 and 3 times. Hey, I had that pretty good from memory.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
So this is what Dr. Cowan says. And I mean, I just loved listening to him. He's fascinating. I'm hoping to interview him soon.
Just thinking about this whole thing, this means that from a health point of view, we're not so much worried about these large blood vessels as we are the small ones. And this means forward thinking. It means you've got to start taking care of yourself immediately and not have to worry about that later on somebody's going to put a stent in it and you still have the problem.
Well, aren't some of these don't we have an epidemic of microcirculatory issues? I mean, what is diabetes?
Yes.
I mean, what are we talking about? Neuropathies?
Right.
What are we talking about? Cold hands and cold feet.
Yeah.
Not getting the proper circulation. So let me explain this, because some of you guys and gals are probably more technical than me. So, you know, I have to have visuals, right? So if the pump theory is that you have this 1 pound, somewhat thin-walled organ, the heart,
mm-hmm.
okay? And it's going to pump blood around the earth every single day for 70 years, 60 to 70 times a minute.
Hopefully longer than 70 years.
Yeah, and that 1 pound thin-walled organ can supposedly generate enough pressure to do that by squeezing. Frankly, that's ridiculous, is what he says.
When you make it like that, it doesn't
But it
really
actually
make
gets
sense.
worse than that. I mean, if you're a physicist, you absolutely know the laws of physics and knows it defies the laws of physics. If you do a flow velocity diagram, it turns out that the blood is moving the fastest at the heart, both before and after the heart. As it goes into the arterioles and then the small arteries, it gets to the capillaries, where it actually stops and does a little shimmy. Or it goes very slow, depending on who you believe. Mm-hmm. And the analogy is a narrow river goes fast, and when it goes out into the wetland, it goes very slow. Right? So think of your
So I'm thinking
tissues
everything moving to the heart, and the heart is now just going bloop and pushing it back out.
Well, it's going to the wetlands, and it goes very slow. That's the wetlands is our tissues.
Right.
So that's where the capillaries are exchanging nutrients. Oh, that's waste, and they're putting nutrients, right? It has to go slow. It has to stop almost to exchange the gases and the food. Mm-hmm. So not only are we pushing all the way around the earth, but halfway around our travel, we stop and then we get going again. You're expecting that to be all from the push from behind. It just doesn't work. It gets even worse than that, because we have an outflow tube of the left ventricle called the aortic arch, which is shaped like McDonald's arch. I love when people give me pictures. And the blood goes from the left ventricle out the aortic valve, through the arch, and then down to the body. And the analogy here is if you stick a similarly shaped arched garden hose off your spigot outside your house, and then you turn it on really hard, which kind of recreates the pumping, you would expect the garden hose to straighten out, because if you put pressure, the arch would straighten, wouldn't it? Mm-hmm. Yep. The hose straightens out. In fact, you can look on any angiogram and catheterization, you can see that the arch actually bends in a little bit during systole, which from a pressure propulsion model makes absolutely no sense at all.
Yeah, so it's pushing in, so it's actually driving the blood when it pushes in.
So what I'm trying to say, folks, is it's kind of like, the earth is flat, the earth is round, and, consensus says maybe consensus is not always right. So we're going to get into the hydraulic ram model of the heart. And if and we're going to, go through Dr. Cowan's explanation. I hope you find this fascinating and that you take time to kind of ponder it and get his excellent book. And then we're going to talk about how we keep our heart healthy and how we keep the microcirculation. Well, let's make sure people understand it, and then we're going to get into it. But, if your heart actually stopped beating, you wouldn't live long. But if the heart isn't actually the pump that's pumping the blood, how does it work? And in his book, Dr. Cowan describes the heart as a hydraulic ram, which he explains when we get back. We'll go into that.
Okay, we'll be right back, folks. Number here is 877-927-6648. Please take time to go to the TFNN site and pick up our Primal Edge. $89 gives you over 310 cell-ready liquid ingredients. All
powered by fulvic and humic.
Exactly. We'll be right back.
Would like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen, live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den, absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
That's cute.
Oh, wow,
Thanks,
you're
Al.
so cute. Thanks for shaking it up a little this morning. Well, let's talk about how the heart shakes it up.
Yep.
What does the heart do? According to Dr. Cowan, Thomas Cowan, the blood is moving fast and it comes into the heart, and the heart stops the blood, and like a hydraulic ram, it holds it back. The walls expand, the pressure differential happens, and it opens the gate, and out comes the blood.
So more so when the blood is in the heart because of the unique shape of the heart. So the heart is a vortex-creating machine.
Don't you get goosebumps
Yeah,
as
I
you
do,
tie
yeah.
all the things together?
It has different fibers inside the blood. Each area of the trabecula, is that how you pronounce it, is connected with a certain part of the body. So what he's saying is that each part of the heart has different corresponding fibers that kind of connect it to other parts of the body, like our essential organs.
Yeah, and that's very interesting, almost like the nerve fibers from the spine, because we've always said that the heart's electric field is much bigger than that of the mind. So let's go on. One area of the heart is connected with the spleen, another area of the inner part of the heart is connected with the foot, and so on. The blood comes in, and these areas of the heart create their individual spirals. Okay. And package up certain parts of the blood, like the old red blood cells, into a vortex and sends it to the spleen, where another part sends the fresh new red blood cells up to the brain.
Yeah, this is kind of like the water vortex type of thing that I'm seeing here.
Well, that's where we're leading to.
Yeah.
That's where it's really coming to. So if there's a cut on your leg, it dissolves some of the inner fibers, but that in a vortex and sends it to the cut in your leg. It's so wild, he says. Again, there's an article about this on his website, and as hard as it is to believe, that actually documents that it's very clear in terminology of how this is all happening. And so what, as you mentioned, the heart, the blood comes back to the heart, and it's involved in a vortexing. It has a very unusual shape, and he goes into detail in that at the book. But what does water have to do with this? And as you all know, we've been very passionate about sharing with you the technology that Robbie Bessner has put into the Thera H2O, TheraGoods.com. Water, the importance of the structure, the importance of the vortexing. And we've talked about fascia, how fascia is the sac that holds us, a bag of water basically, together. Right. So let's go into what water's got to do with it.
Yeah,
we've got a caller?
Asked if you would spell the
okay,
author
so someone, Dr. Cowan, C-O-W-A-N. Dr. Thomas Cowan, C-O-W-A-N, M.D., and his book is Human Heart, Cosmic Heart, or Cosmic Heart, Human Heart. I hope I didn't mess that up right here. Human Heart, Cosmic Heart, a doctor's quest to understand, treat, and prevent cardiovascular disease. I'm hoping to have an opportunity to interview him soon, and we'll get more information and share that with you folks
so
too.
What's really interesting about this, that Dr. Gerald Pollack, the author of The Fourth Phase of Water, which we've discussed
and what
many times.
TheraGoods stuff is based on, that technology.
So he was instrumental in helping Dr. Cowan understand the function of the heart and how the blood flows if it isn't being pushed or pumped by the heart.
Yeah, so so here you got these two brilliant minds. This just gives me goosebumps on my goosebumps. Pollack and Cowan put it together. So first off, if any pumping action were to be involved, it would actually have to occur at the capillaries, because that's where the blood stops and needs to get moving again. So however, the solution nature came up with is far simpler. And he has a really cool analogy too. He says the dumbest kidney is much smarter than the smartest nephrologist. In other words, nature knows what to do.
Yeah.
And so the solution nature came up with is, as the blood moves up the venous tree, returning to the heart, the blood vessels narrow and eventually coalesce to come back to the heart. Okay? And this narrowing of the vessels makes the blood flow faster in and of itself.
Sure.
And so there's valves and muscular contractions also play a role in this. However, the primary way that blood moves has to do with water. So what do you mean when you say water? And as Gerald Pollack has described, water can exist in 4 phases. You all know it's not just 3. There's a 4th phase, a gel-like crystalline form. It's a cross between liquid and solid, and this 4th phase of water is formed by the interaction of water and a water-loving surface, hydrophilic surface.
So that tension, that surface tension.
And low surface tension, water-loving, insides of these microvessels are hydrophilic. So what happens with you, maybe you want to share that.
It forms a gel-like layer. Think of the slush.
Or protective layer.
Protective layer, or on that hydraulic surface. Which
Hydrophilic.
hydrophilic surface, which is negatively charged.
So a water-loving surface like a gel coating, that's what's going on in the insides of our small vessels. Go on, Nico.
Okay, so therefore the opposite of positive charge is dissolved into a bulk water in the middle of the tube, the capillary or the blood vessel. All you need is a hydraulic tube.
Not hydraulic, honey.
Or
hydrophilic, meaning water-loving, yeah.
Which forms a gel layer which is negatively charged, and then the bulk water is positively charged. The positive charges repel each other, and that starts the flow going up the hill.
So see what's happening? You have to have the structured gel, crystalline gel, easy water barrier. Think of this, that gets formed on the inside of our vessels. And because the blood is actually positive charged, you've got that friction, and that creates the movement.
So it's an electrical system.
It is.
Wow.
Isn't it cool?
Isn't that cool?
So sun, earth, and the human touch, okay?
Three principles for a healthy blood flow.
And Pollock has also clearly demonstrated that there are actually 3 natural energies that result in separation of the charges.
So this is all coming together for me, because I was very confused when I started reading this article, and now all of a sudden
You're getting the clip. Now you're seeing why Robbie created the water system he did.
This is pretty cool.
So what's the first? So there are 3 natural energies that are important in creating this flow that we need.
Sunlight.
Number 1, sunlight. Charges up your blood vessels, which increases the flow of blood. When the sun's rays penetrate your skin, it causes a massive increase of nitric oxide that acts as a vasodilator.
As much as 60% of your blood can be shunted to the surface of the skin through the action of nitric oxide. This helps absorb solar radiation, which then causes the water in your blood to capture the energy and become structured.
So, guys, being in the sun is crucial wherever you are. And that is a lot of the reason that our Thera H2O water product that we have, that Robbie created, has the gemstone energies. Those gemstones have captured the infrared energies from the sun, and it restructures the water.
Wow.
But get out in the water yourself. So this is a key component for a healthy heart. The idea is to be exposed to the sun while you're grounding. Mm-hmm. In other words, be outdoors, and meaning walking barefoot. Being walking barefoot. And this form of biological circuitry makes everything work better.
I can see me getting out of the teepee and then putting my feet on the ground, bare feet, and saluting the sun in the morning, and that just starts
Isn't this
the whole
what our
process.
primal people did? So we talked about the number 1 was sunlight. Number 2 is getting the negative ions from the earth, or grounding.
Yep.
You need sunlight, and you need connection with the earth.
This also charges up your blood vessels, creates a separation of charges, creates more positive and ions, and allows the blood to flow upward against the gravity. So
you're going to get both the positive and the negative ions, and we'll go to number 3 when we get back.
Wow, this is cool.
Cool stuff, guys. Important stuff. Be right back.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
This segment is brought to you by TFNN. Test drive all the newsletters for free at TFNN.com.
And we're talking about how to keep our heart healthy. And Matt says grounding is really important. He totally gets it. And you're right, Matt. And as we said, sunlight and in connecting and getting negative ions from the earth. And Nico, what's the number 3 thing?
Well, he says the best thing is to be more or less with shorts or naked on the beach with salt water, which acts as an electrical conductor, holding hands with somebody you love. That's how you structure the water.
And that's because the number 3 thing is the field or the effect of the human or the touch of another being.
Yeah, so like you said, the sun exposure, the grounding, and skin contact are all 3 preventative strategies that ideally everybody should be doing. And and we've talked endlessly about the segregation of our society from young to old, from old to young, and everywhere in between. We not only segregate by race, which seems more natural because that's how we stick together, but in a society, nobody would ever think thousands of years ago that we'd take the children away real early and start educating with strangers and put our old folks someplace where...
And nursing home.
In nursing homes.
You and I were talking during the break because he says that the number 3 most important thing is having that touch with another being.
Yeah.
And I thought about some older people who get lonely and don't have someone to touch them.
Right.
And we actually have a nursing home here in Clearwater.
The Palms, yeah.
Yeah, that has a daycare center in the building of the nursing home.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of interaction between these small children.
Yeah,
I have to imagine that's got to be great.
Yeah, and the hospitals of the future are, and we've often talked about it, that they should have the best food in the world.
And they have the worst food in the world.
And same with the schools. But imagine the hospital, the schools, the restaurants and cooking and all this under one area where we're not segregating the people, not even segregating the sick people from the healthy people, because I think healthy people should be exposed to the sick people and the other way around. And we know that there's a lot of these diseases, and we talked in our last show about the measles, and we talked about the chicken pox, how we've created all these other diseases because now we're well, I can't even say it.
We're vaccinated. And vaccination is not immunity. And by the way, before we close today, if you didn't watch The Truth About Vaccines, get there before Friday and buy that series, 50% off, and you get a free copy. Send it to people you love and care about. It's information that everyone needs to know.
And that website was?
The Truth About Vaccines.
Yeah.
So the 7 series are over with. Some of the most compelling experts. Everyone.
I haven't seen the whole thing. I saw the first one.
Regardless of what your perspective is, this is not pro or anti. It's about having safe vaccines, no matter what we do.
Yeah. So does plaque really cause heart attacks? That's what we kind of started with, and the notion is, that it is. And I always visualize somebody going into the ER. And now he's got plaque in there, and the doctor says, I got to take the plaque out.
It's really good for business.
Not only that, you're not going to say no.
Right. because we're horrified of that.
Yeah.
But are we misunderstanding the way the circulatory system works, and do we understand that the heart is very adaptive, or the circulatory system is very adaptive to creating collateral circulation, and they might just happen to not mention that although you have this blockage, your body has created a collateral spot. But I know I would be very fearful if I was in there with pain and so forth.
Yeah.
But let's go on.
Okay.
Dr. Cowan does not ascribe to the plaque theory of heart disease, as do many experts in the field of cardiology and physics. No. Instead, he makes a strong case for heart disease being a problem rooted in mitochondrial dysfunction. Everything seems to be rooted in mitochondrial dysfunction.
Yeah,
and what's wrong with the plaque theory?
Yeah, for starters, if plaque were responsible, there would have to be something in the blood or blood vessels causing the plaque, such as cholesterol or inflammation.
But what we know is half the people that have heart attacks do not have high cholesterol and do not have inflammation. So what's really going on? Right. And since all blood vessels are identical, there's no difference between the splenic artery, the femoral artery, or the coronary artery, for example. If there's plaque in one artery, there should be plaque everywhere, right?
Makes sense.
And an attack should theoretically occur just about anywhere in the body, depending on where the blockage is. Yet people do not have spleen attacks or foot attacks, which would be the result of a bottleneck of plaque forming near these organs. So
there is such a thing as renal arterial ischemia. But basically there are two organs that have attacks. The brain, we call that a stroke. And the heart, we call that myocardial infarction. MI, or heart attack.
So why do we not have this in the other organs? Because that suggests there's something different about those organs. It's not the blood vessels, because the blood vessels, they're all the same. There's something different about the heart and the brain that causing the attacks. It's not the blood flow. So in the 40s and 50s, when the plaque theory first began, Nico, most cardiologists rejected it, noting there's massive collateral circulation between the coronary arteries and these massive networks of fine blood vessels.
It really doesn't matter when one area gets blocked or not, because the whole thing is like the wetlands. It will simply compensate for the blockage in one area by increasing blood flow elsewhere. So what's wrong with this
with the plaque theory? Yeah. What's really wrong? So when they take a look at post-mortem autopsies, these studies, actually Dr. Cowan has some of these available on his website at humanheart.cosmicheart.com. Humanheart.cosmicheart.com. When they were looking at arterial blockages in the area leading to the part that had an attack, it showed that only 18% were actually blocked. That means that in 82% of the cases, a blocked artery was not the cause of the heart attack.
Yeah, and he's not saying that blockages are good. I'm not feeling as well as I used to. I have some chest pain, a little shortness of breath, waking up the hills, walking up the hills. He had this 5-mile walk yesterday. I'm not doing so well as I did the other day. I went to a cardiologist. He did some tests, and I've got 95% blockage in one of my arteries. He said that if it blocks anymore, I'd have a heart attack and die.
And that I better have a stent or an angioplasty. And so, from Dr. Cowan's perspective, he says, I think to myself, number one, if all of the blood vessel flow comes through these coronary arteries and he's got 95% blockage of this major vessel, how did he walk up this 5-mile hill?
Yeah.
In fact, how is he even standing upright if he's got less than 5% blood flow to a major part of his heart?
It doesn't make any sense.
So if you mean to tell me if he's blocked from 5% to 12%, that's it?
Well, of course,
Curtains
they're only measuring those large arteries. They're not measuring the small capillaries and all that stuff we're talking about. And it makes more sense if you're blocking that big pipe, the small pipes would be blocked too.
Well, he says the reality is 5% is 0%, and blocking to 2% is the same as 0%. It's very clear that the theory that the blood squeezing through the bottleneck in the vessel is complete nonsense. The blood does not squeeze through the bottleneck, according to Cowan. It bypasses it. It goes through these very intelligent collateral vessels, and the flow is more or less normal although there is some problem in the heart, but it's not because of that blockage. That's why the Mayo Clinic and other studies, when they unblock the blockage, it doesn't do any good for the patient.
Yeah,
And
he says in Cowan's view, there's only a small subset of patients that might benefit from bypass interventions, especially if you have a greater than 90% stenosis, the blockage, or proximal part, the early part of the left anterior descending.
Yeah, so we'll finish up the real cause of heart attacks, according to Cowan and some other and many other brilliant researchers and institutions.
If the blockage isn't the cause of the heart attack, what is? We'll be right
Stay
back,
with
folks.
us.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge, heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
No matter where you're listening to TFNN programming, you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones, iPads, and Android devices, located in the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and call-in talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com. Educating investors. Join John Logan as he teaches you trading techniques utilizing the TAS Profile Scanner. The Global Market Pulse, next on TFNN.
So if a blockage isn't the cause of a heart attack, then what is? And Cowan makes a strong case for 3 basic causes of heart attacks, one being the decreased parasympathetic tone followed by sympathetic nervous system activation.
Well, what that really means is the fight or flight situation. Yeah, staying in a state of sympathetic dominance, a state of alarm, stress, adrenal stress.
And we're going to be talking about this next week because I really want to get into the stress factor.
Well, I do too, because I think it's a really an important, really all issues with health have their root in the autonomic nervous system balance. So, you know, when we have all these things, we see all these kinds of diseases, and when we stay in a sympathetic state, we don't get into rest and repair at night, and their whole metabolism shifts into a state of chaos.
Yeah, and we've had different stresses today in the modern world than we had as hunter and gatherers. The stress is completely different. We're going to go over that next week. And really important, folks, to understand all these different stresses that hit us. It's not natural. Number 2.
Yeah, and there's a lot of detail in there. We can, those of you that get the newsletter, maybe we'll put this in the newsletter.
Of course.
Yeah, the number 2 is collateral circulation failure. For example, diabetes, smoking, and high stress all affect your collateral circulation, not major blood vessels, folks. It's kind of, again, epigenetic. What are you doing, your lifestyle? And all of these are known to raise your risk of a heart attack, these lifestyle choices.
And number 3 is particularly bad placed plaque formation. And this really has to do with using carbohydrates as our primary fuel. As we often said, our natural fuel is fat.
And Dr. Cowan is a big fan of healthy fats in the diet. And when we use carbohydrates as a primary fuel, which so many people are doing, it generates more reactive oxygen species, more free radical damage, and secondary free radicals. And chronically, this creates mitochondrial damage. And he simplifies it by saying that carbs are dirty fuels. Nico and I, he must be listening to us.
I think so. I think so.
But, we've been saying that. Your carbs are like your kindling, where your fats are like your slow-burning big fat log that'll take you through the night.
And the kindling is okay fuel if you got a lot of it, then you have to constantly be on the fire and just you're loading it on, kind of like eating carbs all day long. Whereas if you switch over to what Paige and I are doing, you eat maybe twice a day, maybe 3 times a day, but you eat a lot less. And you don't eat a lot of carbs. You eat mostly the proteins from animals, and then what goes along with that is the fat. And we even add a little fat to it because these days the animals aren't even fat, the healthy ones.
Right. He says the answer is to reduce the production of free radicals, not necessarily take more antioxidants, reduce the production of the free radicals by reducing the net carbs and increasing the amount of healthy fats. I like the way he thinks.
Yeah, and Matt from Vail says go keto or go cyclical to keto.
I like cyclical keto. That's what we like here too, Matt. So you're on the same page, no pun intended. So, these are really the core tenets of a healthy diet, as we've been saying for 7-8 years here on Living a Primal Lifestyle. So if you understand Dr. Cowan's explanation, how carbs act as a dirty fuel, you'll have a good understanding of why high sugar diets cause heart disease and heart attacks. And in my study with the Loomis Institute in digestion, when we see people are struggling with digestive stress, we analyze what macronutrient are they struggling with. It's the carbohydrates that are more indicated for cardiovascular. If you're struggling with fats, you're going to have more endocrine disruption, hormone. And if you're struggling with protein, you may have other diseases such as cancer. And we're all struggling with those things because we're not eating it in the same way, in the same mixture as we used to, and it's certainly not as clean as it used to. It all comes back to our food, always. So, it's fascinating, some of the treatment alternatives. I'm very interested. I'm actually perhaps going to study some, bring that to you guys with Dr. Cowan. I'm in contact with them. But we want to slow down that stress. Next week, we're going to talk about stress. We'll talk a little bit more about Dr. Cowan's solutions, but we've got some good stuff for you next week. So
thanks for sticking around, folks.
Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns, as well as market trend calls. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
You're watching Tiger TV.